Welcome to Joy Recovery Radio. In this space, we talk about betrayal, recovery, and relational harm through the lens of integrity, accountability, and trauma-informed care. Our goal is not to rush healing or prescribe outcomes, but to offer language, clarity, and grounded perspective. This podcast is educational, not therapeutic. You're invited to listen slowly, take what resonates, and leave the rest. Let's begin.
Welcome back. Glad to have my bride here next to me. It's always nice to cast a pod with you, whatever that means. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm excited about this topic. What the audience doesn't know is this is our second time to record this.
Oh my gosh.
First time, our software didn't work and we had nothing. So now we pressed record. We're going to try it again. So here's what we keep finding in our practice with the men and women in betrayal recovery that we work with. There is two competing interests, and they are not compatible. He feels this need for speed. He wants to hurry up. He wants to get on with recovery and get back to normal. Whereas she feels this need for stability, for safety. And
Consistency,
yes. And so often it's his needs that end up trumping hers, or he puts a tremendous amount of pressure on her. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And let's begin with when he is urgent and feeling this need to rush and hurry, where she's feeling this need for stability. What kind of issues does that create for her and for him?
Well, first, let's just discuss the paradox between the two.
Okay.
So, healing speeds up when it's not being pushed because pressure activates fear and safety activates repair.
So if he will actually slow down and stop with the pressure and the speed and the urgency, that will actually help stabilize her.
Absolutely, because her reality has been completely shattered. And the only way that she's going to be able to trust his motives and what he does is through consistency and actions. So this eagerness to speed things up when structure hasn't been established, let's say there's been no disclosure. Let's say that every time she will ask him questions, he shuts her down. That doesn't create safety. And we've said this 1,000 times. When a betrayed partner is in their survival mode, healing cannot occur.
And his pressure is keeping her in that survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's pressure, I've seen a lot of different ways that he will pressure her. It may be pressure to, let's go back to normal. Can't we just go back to normal? Pressure to heal faster than her nervous system is ready for.
Yep.
Pressure to forgive him. Pressure to go to couples therapy as if she's part of the problem.
Right. What's interesting is trust is built slowly, but broken instantly.
That's so true.
It is. And sort of like we've also mentioned, one lie destroys every truth. So when lying is continuing, this need for speed and healing and let's just go back to the way things were, that's not reality. Infidelity recovery just can't be rushed. Even if the person who was unfaithful desperately wants it to. Healing from betrayal just isn't about deciding to move on and let's just get past it and let's have this new life. It's a process that unfolds at its own pace.
And that's the difficult truth for us men to digest, is that this is probably going to take longer than you think it should. But the converse is also true. This is probably not going to take as long as what we deserve, considering the amount of damage that we've done to our partner and to the relationship. I've seen guys that will pressure for intimacy before she's ready. They'll pressure their wife for forgiveness. And a lot of times that pressure for forgiveness is not actually about forgiveness. That's secondary. What's primarily motivating him is in our secret basement,
Mm-hmm.
our addiction cycle, our acting out cycle was basically a way to escape from anything unpleasant. So we didn't have to sit in discomfort. We could escape. Well, now we don't have that regulation option
Mm-hmm.
anymore. We're not acting out anymore. But we see her pain, we see her anger, we see her triggers and her flooding and her dysregulation, and we don't know how to sit in it. And so we often think, well, if I could just pressure her to forgive me, she'll calm down. And I won't have to face this discomfort that I'm facing in what I did to her. And so a lot of times the forgiveness, that's actually secondary. What he's really wanting is some kind of container for his discomfort. And he thinks her forgiveness might be the ticket
Yep.
for that.
And the discomfort doesn't just come from the betrayer, right? So you'll hear friends and family and maybe church members to say, you just need to forgive and move on. What is behind this advice that they're giving? Well, they are wanting to close the lid on it. They are uncomfortable with there being infidelity to begin with. And they don't feel comfortable sitting in the pain with you. So that's what's happening. There's a ton of pressure on the betrayed partner from all aspects. And I think that that's why betrayed partners, when we find our community, our sisterhood, it provides this safety and security that so many of us haven't felt ever since discovering infidelity.
Mm. And so we're talking about his need for speed, her need for stability and safety, and how these usually are not compatible. And if speed wins the day, if that's what we're going to go with between speed and stability, we're just going to go with speed,
Mm-hmm.
then it usually causes more harm for her.
It does. And listen, patience is not optional. It's a part of the repair.
And that really is the theme. If there was one message that we wanted the men and both parties to walk away with, is you've got to slow down. You
Mm-hmm.
have got to slow down. Stop pressuring her for reassurance that you're doing okay. Stop pressuring her to throw you a bone that your recovery is going okay. Stop pressuring her for forgiveness, for couples counseling, for getting over it, for healing on your timeline instead of her timeline. When speed wins the day, that often causes harm. And really what we recommend to couples is that her nervous system becomes the throttle for recovery. That we go at the speed of what her nervous system can handle at this time. Which means that he's applying the acceleration, she's applying the brakes, and you can't press both pedals at the same time. You're going to do damage. He needs to get off the accelerator, slow down, and realize if you did years or even decades of destruction and harm, you don't repair it in a couple of months. So let's slow down. Let's honor her nervous system.
So for the guys, get your pens out because you need to write these things down that I'm going to mention. These are the things that is going to delay her healing. Anything that makes the betrayed partner feel invalidated, unsafe, unheard, blame, or responsible, and pressured. So when those take place, it's going to slow down the recovery because why? She goes into hypervigilance and survival mode.
Hmm.
On the contrary, things that make betrayed partners feel safe is number one, vulnerability, being understood, being prioritized, feeling emotional safety, consistently reassured and validated. And not just through words, but most importantly, through your actions. So, words are empty promises. We've been fed a bunch of words. What we really need to see is actions. And we need to know that you are growing in empathy and becoming a safe container for us. So, one of the things that Roy and I were discussing before we hit record on this podcast was I asked him, ideally, how long does it take for someone who has really pretty low EQ skills, emotional intelligence, and or no empathy to gain a base level of empathy? I know he's a research nerd. He loves this stuff, behavioral scientist. So I asked him, you know, how long do you think it takes? And your response, of course, varies.
Yeah, there was a landmark study done. It was measuring how long does a new habit, skill, or neural pathway take for a person to develop, whether it's learning to play the piano or learning empathy. How long does it take? There's so many variables that you can't give a definite timeline to that. But in the study, it showed anywhere from, if I remember right, 28 days was the quickest and 257 days was the longest. It depends on a lot of variables, but here were the main two: intention and repetition.
Hmm.
For example, if my goal is to learn how to play the piano, I need to have intention. That needs to be a goal. My will is driving this. I really am motivated to learn to play the piano, but intention's not enough. Will is not enough. There has to be repetition. I got to practice.
Yeah.
And the more I practice, the quicker the skill is achieved by me. So I may have intention, but if the repetition is only once a week for an hour, I'm not going to acquire that skill as quickly as someone who practices 3 hours every day consistently. So we can't definitively say how quickly can someone learn empathy.
Mm-hmm.
It's within that range, 28 to 257 days on average, to create that new neural pathway. But what they can do to accelerate that is intention and repetition.
Recovery breaks down when people are pushed into action before they understand the injury. Education has to come before intervention. That's why we created the Joy Recovery Academy. The Academy is our flagship educational space designed to help you make sense of betrayal trauma, integrity abuse, nervous system responses, and what real recovery sequencing actually looks like, without pressure to fix anything or decide anything yet. This is where clarity replaces confusion and where you finally get a map before anyone tells you where to go. The Academy includes live teaching twice a week, a growing on-demand library, and hundreds of the same frameworks and tools we use with our private coaching clients. The Academy launches in March. If this feels like the step you were never given, or if you want clarity before action, go to joy-recovery.com, click Academy, and join the waitlist.
So we've got these two competing interests. He wants and feels this need for speed. Let's hurry up. I am overwhelmed and I don't know how to sit in this. So can we get back to peace or normal, the way things used to be when I had a secret sexual basement? Whereas what she's feeling the need for is to slow down, stability, safety. And we need to let her nervous system be the throttle, be the brakes, and honor that, and not pressure her to move beyond what her nervous system is ready for. That's when we do additional harm. Now, one thing we have found that can really help provide that stability for her is for him to establish what we call a structure or containment. And what we mean by that is accountability.
Right. And the structure has to be mutual. So this also requires betrayed partners to implement boundaries and safeguards for themselves.
But his accountability, his structure, the containment of his compulsive sexual behavior needs to be external to her,
Mm-hmm.
where she's not the police, she's not monitoring, she's not managing, she's not driving this. But her nervous system will not calm down unless there is containment, there is accountability, there is structure in place. Trauma needs structure. And
Absolutely.
ironically, so does addiction.
It's
Needs structure.
it's like we had one of our clients ask, well, why is structure so important for safety? Well, the betrayed partner's reality was completely disrupted. Right now, she's likely reevaluating memories. Was any of it real? Her self-worth. Why wasn't I enough? Her ability to judge her intuition. That kind of identity level shakeup takes time to reorganize internally. It's not something logic alone can fix. If there was a fast track to healing, my gosh, how many of us would have signed up for it? All of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing about structure for us men is that when we put structure in place, we put these guardrails, we add containment or accountability to our life. It can feel like we're being punished. It can feel like we're under constant surveillance. I put cameras everywhere. I've got accountability software on all my devices, have VidAngel on my TV. I don't watch rated R movies anymore. I don't listen to a lot of the same music I used to listen to. I get my groceries delivered. I try to minimize going out in public. I feel like I am being controlled. And he can covertly start building resentment for the container that is meant to provide safety for both of them.
Yep.
Not just her, but for both of them. The fact is, you are in a repair role right now. You broke it, you need to fix it. And in that repair role, you need to take some of the freedoms that you misused and abused and let those go.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's part of the structure. That's part of the containment. That if my unsupervised, unchecked use of technology was part of the ways that I distorted reality for my partner and betrayed her, then I need to restrict some of my freedom with that same technology now if I'm going to have containment, structure, accountability, provide safety for both of us, and assume the role of repair in this relationship. I need to voluntarily provide containment. I need to restrict the same freedoms that I misused and abused.
In addition to that, so when you're looking at structure, here's a couple other things to consider. Being rigorously honest. Even if she asked the same question over and over, be honest. If you're honest, you don't have to worry about what you said last time. You'll have the same truth, the same answer every single time she asked that question. It's consistent transparency and vulnerability. For structure, you're going to have to be patient with her triggers and flooding. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And, one thing we want to clarify is, yes, he feels this need for speed. He feels this need for safety, and those aren't necessarily compatible. He's applying the accelerator. She's applying the brakes. But just because you do set up structure and containment so that you do slow down and it does provide safety for her, we do not make any claims that this will reconcile or heal your relationship. You have no control over that. What you do have control over is your own behavior, your own decisions, your own rebuilding of your integrity. Now, If we look at his need for speed,
Mm-hmm.
her need for safety, what's the root of that? Well, you've got two different nervous systems that are in completely different places right now.
Yep.
His nervous system is oriented around very different things than what her nervous system is oriented
Mm-hmm.
around right now. So I'll talk about what his nervous system is usually going through right now. Normally, after discovery and just the bomb that exploded for both of them and the couple ship, his nervous system is experiencing a tremendous amount of shame. He is terrified of losing his primary attachment, his partner. And I know that makes zero sense, because if he was so scared of losing her, why did he do this in the first place? But that is his nervous system right now. Is he was self-deceived. He thought he could get away with this. He thought that he wasn't really hurting anyone. He thought that no one would ever find out, and he kept the basement secret to make sure that no one ever found out. But the house has caved in now into the basement, and he has been exposed. And so now he is terrified of losing his primary attachment. He is full of shame at the exposure. His greatest fear and nightmare has now been realized.
Mm-hmm.
Total exposure,
As is hers.
as is hers. And we'll talk about her nervous system in a minute. When his nervous system is on fire like this, he feels this urgency for one thing: relief.
Mm-hmm.
Relief. I just want to calm down the discomfort, the overwhelm, the panic, the shock, the urgency that I'm feeling right now. And what feels like will do it is if she hurries up. If she can accelerate her forgiveness towards me, or her healing, or if she could just find the right therapist, or read the right book, or go to the right intensive, or listen to the right podcast, if she could just hurry up, then we could go back to normal, and I don't have to panic anymore. That's what his nervous system is going through right now. Hers is completely different.
Well, hers wants the same thing. But remember, pressure activates fear and safety activates repair. And so while he's in his shame, he's not able to provide safety because it makes him feel uncomfortable. So betrayal trauma isn't just hurt feelings, and trauma responses don't resolve on command. Her nervous system has to relearn that she is safe. For betrayed partners, they are experiencing pain that they've never felt before. The person they trusted the most has become the source of danger. And that triggers intrusive thoughts, anxiety and emotional mood swings, difficulty trusting intuition. And one thing I don't think that's touched on enough is the betrayer isn't the only one in shame. She's feeling horrible shame. And she's isolated. Most betrayed partners don't reach out to friends and family. They don't want to tell what has happened. They're scared what they might hear. Or they might not find the support that they really need. Betrayed partners go into their survival mode and they stay there. And as long as that's where they are, healing can't take place.
So there's an ethical dilemma here, because we have two humans. In our theological perspective, they're both made in the image and likeness of God.
Mm-hmm.
They're worthy of dignity, value, and respect. Which nervous system takes priority? Which competing interests do we give priority to?
Hers.
And the ethical answer, the ethical recovery, looks like this. You focus on the true victim and their nervous system first.
Without question.
It does not mean that the betrayer and his nervous system doesn't matter. What it means is healing goes in a certain direction, in a certain order. Ethically, we need to focus on her nervous system. and it needs to take priority. Some of the regulation that he might need, he can go to healthy brothers in recovery for that. But she is the true victim here, not to minimize his pain or say that his nervous system and his needs don't matter. But this is an injustice. And ethically, he is the perpetrator. She is the victim. Her nervous system takes priority.
Absolutely. And healing is nonlinear. So even when things seem better, triggers can bring everything back. That doesn't mean healing isn't happening. It means the nervous system is still processing. I was journaling today and I wrote something and I shared it with Roy. If you want to heal, you've got to respect yourself more than you fear his addiction.
Mic drop.
I know.
Mic drop. So as we wrap it up, just one more thing we want to clarify, and I'll speak to the guys for a minute. Guys, I've been in your shoes. I know a lot of the things that you're feeling. And it's so overwhelming right now. And what you really want is, can we just go back to the way things used to be? Or can we just go back to normal? Can we pretend like this never happened? You can't go back to the way things used to be.
And why would you?
It's gone.
Yep.
It's gone. And you can't get it back. And both of you, both the betrayer and the betrayed, have to go through a grieving process of burying the reality that you thought you had. For him, it was a dual reality. There was two parallel realities going on that she didn't know about, but he did. And he thought he could juggle both. She's grieving the loss of the reality that she thought she had. That reality, that normal, that relationship, there is a psychological death where you have to grieve the loss of what you thought you had. And that is very gripping and difficult for both parties. However, even though you can't get the old normal back, and that's a fantasy, that's not going to happen. You need to face reality. You need to slow down and realize, number one, this is going to take a while. Number two, she's worth it. Number three, this is what integrity looks like now, is you take on the role of repair, a healer. You did the harm. Now you're going to heal.
A protector.
Exactly.
Be a man of integrity.
You now have the opportunity to architect a new normal that is built on a foundation of shared reality. You have the opportunity to have a relationship that is better than the old one ever was.
Or you thought possible.
Because of the absence of deception, because of the foundation of shared reality. This is going to take time. It's going to take a tremendous amount of hard work. And you don't need to fix anything today. You don't need to decide anything today. Our theme today is slow down. Go at the pace of her nervous system, not your urgency. Clarity is not something that you can rush. So whether you're the one that caused the harm or you're the one who was harmed, recovery is asking for something deeper than effort or intention. What you need right now is integrity.
I completely agree. And while you can't rush healing, you can create conditions that help move it more steadily and safely. Healthy acceleration isn't about pressure. It's about reducing ongoing harm, being a safe container, and increasing safety. Things may never go back to how they were, but that doesn't mean healing is impossible. It means a different kind of future can be built, one rooted in truth, not urgency.
And a future rooted in truth is what will ultimately make real joy even possible.
But it takes time, it takes honesty, it takes vulnerability, and it takes a lot of work. So remember, joy is possible
when you live in integrity.
Thank you for listening to Joy Recovery Radio. Healing after betrayal is not about speed, certainty, or outcomes. It begins with clarity, safety, and integrity. If today's episode was helpful, you can find additional educational resources and information about the Joy Recovery Academy and our private coaching at joy-recovery.com. Remember, joy is possible when you live in integrity.